Thanks very much for staying with us. Now, even as the political drama in Maharashtra reached its peak with the resignation of Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, senior Supreme Court advocate and Rajya Sabha MP Mahesh Jethmalani spoke to Times Now's executive editor Padmaja Joshi, where he gave out a detailed explanation on what lies ahead in Maharashtra politics after the Chief Minister's resignation. Listen in.
Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani is live with us now. He, of course, was the legal counsel for Devendra Fadnavis and party. Mr. Jethmalani, if you could please help us understand what happens next. The question on everyone's mind.
Yeah, first of all, let me clarify. I wasn't one of the lawyers in court. I wasn't appearing in court. I was certainly advising Devendra Fadnavis, but I was not a member of the legal team that did such a creditable job in court. Sorry, now what is your question?
My question is, what happens next?
Next, there's no floor test now because there's the claimant to the throne who was supposed to be tested yesterday on the floor of the or tomorrow on the floor of the House has now resigned. So I guess now the government will have to, the governor now will have to call upon that person whom he believes commands the majority support in the House. And I think that almost unambiguously points to Devendra Fadnavis.
What do you make of the argument that was made earlier in court that the governor asked for a floor test faster than a rafale, almost seeming to insinuate partisan behavior by...
Well, you know, these kind of innuendos are best avoided. I know that Dr. Singhvi repeatedly did it, but then one is getting used to Dr. Singhvi now in court about these jibes. So, but, you know, for a high constitutional functionary, and I can understand if it was something extremely, wrong that had been done. If it was something that was completely, somehow perverse on the part of the governor. But if you've seen that the courts themselves have ordered a floor test within 24 hours, right? And the governor did that because that's the mandate of the law. When the governor feels that there's uncertainty in the House in as much as the existing government has lost its majority, the Supreme Court has time and again in a number of decisions said that a floor test brooks no delay. Dr. Singhvi would be well advised to remember what the Supreme Court has said. Perhaps he's omitted those words when he reads these judgments or failed to read them. But those words, the kind of language he used about the governor was best avoided. Constitutional functionaries can be criticized, but they must be done in the most temperate and restrained language.
Now, when it comes to the 39 MLAs, which is the breakaway faction, they say we are the real Shiv Sena. What is the technicality about that? Will they now get the Sena symbol? Or will they be a separate faction, a separate party with a new name, Mr. Jethmalani?
Well, I would not call them the breakaway faction. In my view, they are the real Sena because they are now reaffirming that the mandate that was given in 2019 November was to the alliance of the BJP, right, and the Sena alliance. It was not given to the MVA, the Aghadi government, which has just been voted out or will be voted out. So they are the real Sena. They're not a breakaway Sena. They went along because the leader of their party, the Chief Minister, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, chose to take a particular path, and they went along with him out of respect to the fact that he had the legacy of Balasaheb Thackeray. When they found that that decision was erroneous for many reasons, they chose to bring it to his notice and formed a separate group which was nevertheless the real Shiv Sena, because it was true to the ideals of Balasaheb Thackeray, which ideals Uddhav Thackeray violated.
But will they have the symbol? Why I ask this is because for our understanding, tomorrow if Mr. Fadnavis takes claim to forming the government, will he do so with the support of a faction or Shiv Sena? Will he say, I stake my claim to form the government, BJP plus Shiv Sena?
Well, it is now for the Election Commission to decide which is the real Sena, which inherits the legacy of the Shiv Sena with its symbol, the bow and arrow.
So there'll be no legal impediment to tomorrow these 39 MLAs with Mr. Shinde going ahead and offering support to Devendra Fadnavis. They will do so by virtue of being Shiv Sena MLAs. Will that be the legal status?
The Constitution does not recognize political parties. Political parties are not referred to in the Constitution. But what is referred to in the Constitution is that the governor must call upon that person who commands the majority of support in the legislature. Right? So there is no question of which party supports him. The number of legislators who support a given person, that person commands the majority of the House, and that person is entitled to be called by the governor, and if he proves his majority, he becomes the Chief Minister. And then he forms his Council of Ministers. That's the way the Constitution, that's what the Constitution envisages, and that's the way it operates.
Also, come the 12th of July, will all of those proceedings now stand infructuous, or could there be another hitch where again the disqualification of these MLAs is sought?
Well, I mean, given the fact that the person who was leading the battle, the court battle, and also the political battle, Uddhav Thackeray has now resigned. I don't see much of a future in the impending battle on the 11th or 12th of July. There will hardly be a floor test because Uddhav Thackeray is not subjecting himself to a floor test. So those questions are academic, but I can't predict anything with certainty as I don't know what will happen on the 11th, 12th. But I expect that future proceedings have become slightly redundant.
Final question to you. The first reaction that we had from the Congress, and the only substantive one so far, comes from Supriya Srinath, who said, and I quote, जिनको लोकतंत्र का स्तंभ बनना था, उन्हीं से आज लोकतंत्र को सबसे बड़ा खतरा है. न्यायालयों से नाउम्मीदी खतरनाक है. It is dangerous to grow hopeless from the courts. Your thoughts?
I mean, what can I say about comments made like that? I mean, the agadi is at an end, and frankly speaking, whatever statements come out from them, morbid or otherwise, or hopeless or otherwise, or denigratory of institutions or otherwise, actually is water off a duck's back now. They're sounding like poor losers. They were poor losers a long time back. This was prolonged agony for the state of Maharashtra and its people. It's finally been laid to rest. I'm not going to give much importance to any statements that come out. I'm only a little surprised that I haven't heard from my parliamentary colleague Sanjay Raut. I'm waiting to hear from him.
Well, maybe he will be writing an editorial in the Samna even as we speak. We'll get back to you as soon as we get the first copy of the Samna tomorrow. For the time being, Mr. Jethmalani, appreciate you joining us and clearing up all of those facts.